Alright, fuckfaces, welcome back to Cute Bots, an artwod workout. Artwod, they're the reason, artwod, all of this wonderful. Okay, now that I've gotten my really uncomfortable shilling out of the way, right? Join me, draw along, let's fucking put our work in, right? If I can do it, you can do it, and everything you want to do, you can do, but you must build the evidence, which is the drawing, right? So come on, let's work on our fundamentals. Now that my call to action is done, either you don't give a shit or you fucked off, right? I'm gonna write I'm gonna read I'm going to write down the things I have noticed, right? I just spent like the last 5 minutes staring really hard at these little mech designs because again, the goal right now is like first we tried creating designs, mech-like shapes around the hinges, but again, knowledge is power. So then we started looking at mech designs that we liked and little like this was a copy that I did, just like a, and then I tried understanding and applying it. But I think we really need to not think. We need to really break down what makes good mech designs, because copying is one thing. And I know last video I said I'm going to copy them, and yeah, I'll copy a couple of them. But the main thing, the main benefit is going to be understanding and what mech designs are. And I feel as if fucking everywhere I've looked on the internet, and obviously I could be wrong, right? But nobody fucking explains what makes good mech design properly. I understand it has to be functional, right? It has to involve hinges, pivots, and ball joints. That all makes sense from the artwod workout, right? Jonas Minabo's course on the artwod website as well, right? You know, you have to have clearance. You have to make sure that you have different types of hinge designs. Everything makes sense, sure, and we base it off of real life. So I understand all of that. But what makes good mech shapes, right? Like actual, like this type of shit. How do you come up with this? I think obviously the answer is experimentation, big, medium, small, all that stuff, wonderful. But again, I feel as nobody really explains, like breaks it down to the most autistic level of detail. And that's what most beginners need. That's what I need, right? I need it to be broken down and replicable across the board at all times. So, since I don't see anything like that online, I'm gonna go through that effort now. We're gonna spend the next however many hours, fucking 10, 15, 20, whatever, however many, we're gonna break down what makes good mech shapes, right? I'm going to go through the very fun, very effortful, very difficult process of creating my own system of understanding mech shapes. So I spent like 10 minutes looking at it. What I can see right now is there is connection, and this we're gonna talk about just the purpose and the function, right? There's connection, there is what's it called? Fuck, I forgot what it was. Like I even thought about it. It was connection, a covering, right? So these things connect to things, they cover things, right? Like this is like a covering, and then they have stability, right? The last one was stability, and they function to be stable, right? Like to weight these whatever like the surrounding thing down is. But that's basically it. Is like there's like a main, and for big, medium, small, right? For let's okay now let's that's just for the purpose, and I'm gonna this can be good. So let's just say this is purpose, right? We're gonna try to break it down, and then what about aesthetics, right? I guess I'll just continue here. Fuck, my handwriting is so shit, and my organizing is so shit, which is funny, right? So purpose, aesthetics. What am I noticing? Obviously, and this is like just me thinking out loud and just looking at the examples. We're noticing cutouts, noticing angles and curves and all that, right? Transitions from thick to thin, right? Cutouts, additions, right? Like they cut into each other or they add on to each other. In the shapes themselves, there's angles, there's curves, right? And let's just do one more, which is what was it? I was just thinking of it. Angles, there's curves, right? Cutouts, they blend together. There was one more thing I was just thinking of, which I had realized I'd noticed. But what is it? And they do one more thing. I'm just thinking right now, don't mind me, right? Feel free to skip ahead if you don't give a shit about how someone learns, I guess. Then what the fuck are you doing on this channel? Fuck off, or just keep drawing. Keep me money, please. Background, retention, viewership, whatever the fuck else I say. There's one more thing I was thinking of, and I guess big, medium, small, right? Well, just for lack of a better word, right? Big, medium, small, and like I guess I could say big is primary, shape, right? And then small is surrounding, right? Surrounding shapes. They complement the big. This is my extremely fucking like beginner layman understanding of it, right? This is what I want to make very clear. I'm just thinking out loud because again, I'm creating my system of understanding, right? I'm creating what makes sense to me because I fucking first of all, I'm so enamored and I love mech design. Like I love that shit. I think it's probably getting mech design down, and Antonio says this too from artwod, right? It's like if you can create good hard surface designs, right? Just prop all that shit, like you can create basically that and he has proven it through his own actions. It translates very greatly, very greatly over to every other type of design because you have to think about so much in terms of aesthetics, right? You can't just pull shit out of your ass when it comes to what's it called, mech design, right? Like there has to be a level of intent, a strong level of intent. Oh, the last thing I remember what it was. It's thick to thin. Let's just add it here. Thick to thin. Like there's a lot of variations in terms of what's it called? The size and the thickness of these shapes. So that's a lot to think about, which is why right now we're just gonna purely focus on creating mech designs, mech shapes. Sorry, mech designed shapes. So now I'm actually ready to draw. It's already been 5 minutes. Fucking hell. Okay, so and obviously I'm gonna do my best to have some sort of connection to the hinge, but that's a lot to think about. So and already like there's so much to think about with the design. So let's just try to figure it out, right? Like little mech designs. Let's try to figure it out. So let's start with cutouts, right? And we'll have it be a covering. Okay, I think covering and stability are the two main things. So I probably should have changed it a little bit. Like the connections I've seen are the small things, right? So far, the connections are the smaller shapes. So that's already small, right? Connection is small, covering is medium or big, and stability is usually big, right? But it can be medium as well. This is just my understanding of it based on all the fucking like 8 different pictures I have on Pinterest of a bunch of different designs inside of them of mech stuff, right? Legs, hinges, someone's just random ideation, right? A big, like a girl in like a robot suit, right? Looking at the robot suit. So let's think. And this is the exciting part because now I get to ideate, right? So we'll do cutout, right? And lots of angles. There's lots of angles. We can have it as a cutouts, curves, you know. Maybe this is, let's just say this is a covering for the time being, right? For the hinge, whatever. And the thing is, we have to think about the rounding aspect of it, right? So something like this. What else? There's angles, curves, thick to thin. So covering, stability, let's see. Tick to tin? Yeah, looking kind of tick there. Okay, anyways. And again, looking at these examples here, I need to keep trying to understand how they go about it, right? Because we can do something like, you know, and this could help quite a bit in terms of trying to figure out what it is exactly works here. And I noticed that I wasn't calculating anywhere as much as I should be when I was drawing, so let's just try to fix that right now. Right, so maybe that's one thing. If we're thinking about stability, because let's see, and this is all going to look really bad. I want to let you know right now that none of what is happening here is going to look good, right? None of what's happening here is going to look good, but it is very necessary. Like, this angle was already off in terms of perspective. But I'm just trying to think really hard, right? And we're just going to keep doing our best. But this is where looking at these examples, I was trying to see, okay, what are they doing that I'm not doing? Right? And just trying to figure that out. Because it's angles. It's just angles at the end of the day, right? So we could maybe something like that. That doesn't really look that good, right? So that doesn't work. Now we know, right? This is the learning, right? Now we know that doesn't look that good, right? But symmetry is also a part of it. So if it doesn't look that good, but it doesn't look that good on both ends, does it end up looking good? Right? Who knows? Kind of. Funny enough, kind of. So is this stability, right? Is this covering? It seems to be neither. But again, we could add another covering. And if I look at the examples that I'm seeing here, a covering can be something as simple as this. Right? Just the most important part is that we have some sort of mech-like inclination towards it, right? In terms of the shape, which usually just means that it's rounded a little bit, right? It can even have little things like that, like little fucking, I guess you could call them screws or circular cutouts, right? There's a lot to it. And then that, right? And there you go. Now we could have, this is our hinge shape, right? So we could clearly do something like this, right? How the fuck am I, how are my lines so thin? I'm so confused how I'm able to do this, to be honest. Just as a complete aside. Right, I'm just confused. Oh, whatever, okay. Well, I fucked up the hinge, but again, now we can think about connections, right? Now we can think about connections. So connections can be something like the little things. You know, a little, oh look, a little bent cylinder, right? And maybe there's a lot of really tiny bent cylinders on the hinge itself. Does it look perfect? No, not at all, and that was a complete fuck up. But this is where I guess I'm trying to just look at the different examples people have. I guess I'm trying to make sure the mic isn't too far away while I look at the Pinterest screen. But yeah, this is almost nonsensical detail, but we don't want nonsensical detail, right? So even something like, you know, these connections that essentially state that, hey, this thing, it's kind of hard surfacey, right? The biggest thing that's fucking this entire design up, if you can even call it a design, is this right here. This is just completely off. But again, this is where there you go. See? And that's all attached to the hinge, right? And it doesn't even have to like, if we really want to go further with that, and we could add something purely for stability, right? I'm just looking at the fucking have to keep the mic to my my throat. I'm deep throating that shit right now. If I look at the examples and by my own definition of stability, right. Right. Oh, okay, I'll keep it further away. It seems it's kind of like a hard surfacey shape. So we could do something like this. Right, do some little multiple rounding. Right? And this stuff can just act as a means to stabilize the shape. Now we just have to think, like, how would this connect? Something like that. Right? And it's kind of what I'm envisioning, but not really. Right? And we can maybe even have, for sheer stability purpose, and again, this is like the connection part, right? Maybe, obviously, I am trying to think about big, medium, small, but again, those words mean nothing to me until I put in the work, right? So right now it's just a matter of kind of figuring out what the hell I want out of these shapes. And we can just go from here. Let's see. Right, little indications from what I've seen, these examples. There you go. Now that looks much more mech-like than anything else I've drawn thus far, right? So, and we still have the hinge intact, at least the bottom part of the hinge, right? Obviously I didn't think about the top part at all. But hey, this is how we start off. So I'm gonna rest my brain, and then we're gonna keep trying to just figure out what these but these mech shapes can be. And that's the main purpose. If the hinge is part of it, the hinge is part of it. Obviously I'm gonna try to visualize it in it as much as I can. But these mech shapes are clearly the common denominator in terms of how much they elevate these things like these hinges or pivots. But yeah, let me rest my brain. I encourage you to do so as well, blah, blah, blah. Anyways. Okay, cool. But yeah, I think the most important part about creating interesting mech shapes is, yeah, the combination of angles, curves, thick to thin, cutouts, additions. And that just comes with ideation, of course. But again, it's like everything. Like the aesthetics part is what creates the liberty for the purpose to not, in the beginning, not be as intentional, and then you can make it intentional down the line, right? I feel as if aesthetics is a huge part of it, because we would rather look at something cool than look at something that kind of just is, right? So for me, I'm just trying to think, okay, what can be done regarding that? Right? So, okay, like maybe if I had some cutouts, cool. Again, this can be angled outward, right? Before coming back straight, and then maybe coming back in. And then something like this. I think I'm doing this as a purely design exercise, of course. And I'm just trying to also keep the perspective in mind, right? As much as possible. Do it with the other side too. I'm just trying to think. So this we can just have cut off. Then this we can do the same thing. because it comes out like that. Oof. See, this is good. Like this actually, I can actually, honestly, I think I'm gonna take a step back because your mind, my mind, maybe your mind can, but my mind cannot. I need to be honest with myself. My mind cannot visualize the box, visualize the shapes, think about the design, visualize the perspective in a different perspective while I'm drawing it, and also put the hinge mannequin, visualize it inside of this design while I'm literally still trying to figure out these 6 to 7 parameters for design. So we need to be honest and be like, okay, I've internalized the hinge mannequin. It's not gonna go away, and I can always brush up on it and practice it again. So the main purpose right now is to focus on mech shapes, right? Like, and designing and doing everything I just said, visualizing the box, visualizing the design, right? Visualizing everything I want to do is great, but I need to be honest with myself in terms of what I can do. So right now it's just see the box, see the shapes, like try to ideate it and think ahead on that, right? And go from there. Like think about all these things as much as I can, right? And keep visualizing the box and keep designing it in your mind as you're going along, right? That's kind of all I should be doing right now, because everything else is going to be extremely difficult. So again, right? Wait, something like that. I don't know if you guys can hear my dad vacuuming, actually. It's pretty nice. He's a really good vacuumer. This little... Wait, how does that work? It should have been like that. And then... See, it was already so difficult to visualize all of that. So this is kind of like a shape that can be done. Kind of looks mech-like, I'd like to believe. And then we just add these little things around it. You know, same thing here. Right, something like that. And then what do we do about, because of what I say, cutouts, connections. Well, we could still add a cutout here, can we not? And it could simply be a very general cutout. And it follows the perspective that's established. Looks kind of meh. Let's try again. I think honestly spending the next 5-6 hours just ideating on mech designs, it's the same shit I was saying before, but it's just about being honest with the fact that it's extremely hard to visualize a hinge mannequin inside of this when I'm already thinking about how to design this thing, right? So, or just design things in general. Maybe the purpose right now just needs to be being honest with myself. So we got angles, right? And maybe we got curves, right? And then it's just about saying, hey, how can this look good? Right? How can we make this look like it has, yeah, connection, covering, stability, all that stuff? Right? And again, that's from looking at these examples that I'm seeing and really trying to figure out, okay, what's working and what isn't. Right? And I think that comes from just, yeah, it's just gonna come from a shit ton of experimentation. Which obviously I'm absolutely willing to do. See, we've already got something halfway decent here. Right? With this, something like that. This comes down as well. Now we need to think about, okay, what do we do? 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 What do we connection, right? So we got, or just little cutouts, because the biggest, most coolest thing I'm noticing, to be honest, is just how these designers are able to kind of make these shapes thin to thick, right? And it's just far for me understanding what it is that they're doing that's resulting in that, right? What is it that is, oof, this is hurting my brain, which I'm really happy about. Yeah, like, what is it that they're doing, you know? Because I could say that, okay, here's a connection, and here's a connection, and then, okay, we're going from there. But again, none of these shapes are enticing, right? Not in the way that I see these individuals do it. And I understand, right? Like, it's going to take me years to get to that point, but if I can break down their process and think about how they're connecting these things, like, and again, it also comes down to understanding what shapes look good and what don't. Honestly, this shape looks pretty shit, right? It doesn't really look that good, or at least not the way I've done it. So we're going to stop there and we're going to try again. Maybe what I need to do is just randomly make a shape, and then we start adding things into it. Again, like the whole reverse engineering thing, right? Where it's like, we could do something like this, maybe, and then, okay, something like that, right? And I guess the main thing is just trying to figure out, how do these shapes all connect together? If I look at the examples, it's usually always the angles, right? Always some sort of angling going on. And it would also, this is a bit more of an organic mech, if you want to call it that, mech-like shape. But one thing I'm starting to understand is the fact that it's kind of like it's wrapping around a larger shape, right? And I kind of need to envision that larger shape, and while still keeping the baseline design in mind, in terms of, okay, well, here's what we can do regarding that, right? Now again, like, thick to thin, right? This is nice, and there you go, something like this comes out. And there you go, again on the other side, it's something like that. This is already better than what I was doing before, but it's still about understanding, right? Because we can draw this type of shit all we want, but if I need to verbalize it, it's that we have mech shapes that need to be connected. And the thing is, a lot of the times, these shapes actually, as you can see what I just did here, it's more than one thing, right? It's like little shapes connected to each other at all times, and even in big, medium, and small. Look at that. That already looks more mech-like, right? We're gonna do one more. This is a great session because I'm actually just really trying to put a lot of focus into understanding what mech is, right? And we can start with anything. I think we could even do something like this. I think actually this is the way to go, like this whole reverse engineering a shape thing. Because now I'm forced to think, like, okay, how could this be something that is connected to something else. And I want to think of big shapes right now, like big tangible shapes, right? I kind of think I fucked it up, but it's all about visualizing at the end of the day. So what could I do to ensure that this attempt like has something that's attached and it makes sense? Like this shape is actually pretty shit, let's be honest. It really is just not that good, right? But a good designer will be able to make something out of this shape anyway. So we just have to be that good designer, right? And just again, like there's angles and there are attachments, right? And what else? Connections, angles, cutouts, blendings. So we could have a blend like that, right? And that also goes, that doesn't actually have to follow the perspective, but I'll make it follow it. See, look at that, just like that, little cutout like that makes all the difference, right? And again, little circular things, little grill marks, even though these are pretty meh, right? This could actually be a little opening of sorts. Okay, I'm gonna rest my brain. Obviously, I'm kind of like cluttering it, but I genuinely feel as if I'm starting to understand. I like genuinely. And again, I think writing things down in terms of what I believe makes sense is clearly a decent way to go about it. So let me rest my brain. I'm gonna keep going, and we're gonna keep sporadically looking at these examples, not intently, but as a general idea, as a sort of inspiration, right? But yeah, let me rest my brain. Yeah, I love all the effort I'm putting into this. I just need to visualize and think more. I think that's the biggest bottleneck right now. I need to start thinking really, really, really hard. So we could do something like, okay, so that's connection, angle, right? Curve, cool. And I have the perspective in my mind to the best of my ability, right? Got to keep that angle in my mind. Something like that, right? Cool. Lost the perspective. I'm gonna gain it back now. Very difficult, but very fun. Right? Now we can also think about, okay, what's like a covering we could add? Right? So, and this can be multiple rounded, of course, or single rounded in this case. This is, I guess, my big shape that I'm thinking about, right? So, in this case, we're trying to again, I haven't forgotten about this, or I'm doing my best not to forget about that, but I'm trying to like create that little semblance of understanding for myself. Right? It's a little big shape that's coming out of it. But does it have to be a big shape? No, actually, it can be something like this. That was a pretty poor yeah, that was a pretty poor line, which is resulting in a lot of issues. Okay, doesn't look that good, but we are attempting to understand, right? Should have thought more about this one, to be honest. That's a bit too big. If I look at the examples, even the big shapes are relatively small. It's actually pretty interconnected. This is too big, and it doesn't have any cohesion. We could try adding cohesion by doing something like this. Right? Try that a little bit. But again, it's all about the perspective, and I lost it a little bit. I'm just trying to make sense of it right now, to be honest. Okay, so that just doesn't work too well. Is there any way to salvage this now? Because clearly I've kind of lost what this was supposed to be. Maybe we could just add little connections. No, we're gonna try again. Because this is kind of just, it's nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense, right? It just doesn't make any sense. So we've learned that we need to make sure that we're balancing the ratio of one shape to the next, right? With this sort of big, medium, and small in mind, which is very difficult. So let's visualize again. And let's try something. Oh, that's wrong. That's a wrong angle. Should have been more like this. Yeah, that's more correct. But can I salvage that? Maybe. But I was going for something like this. No, let's leave it. Right? Mistakes are mistakes. And it's completely fine. Let's try that again. Let's try that again. Voice crack. Right, that's a bit better. Still not the best. And then we need to think. Right, if I look at my examples, just look at them a little bit. Because, again, a good artist would be able to make a lot out of this shape. But I'm not a good artist. I'm simply an artist in training. My lines do need work. Right. There you go. And then we have smaller shapes. And again, this is where like I can start thinking about cutouts and stuff, right? right? And then what else? What else can be done? Just trying to think, because there's a lot of ways these guys and girls. Which I'm just saying guys because I'm a sexist, but it's possible they're women as well. Yeah, there's a lot of ways these guys and girls add little shapes, right? They add little shapes. So there are many opportunities to figure this out. Let's say something like this, right angle cut out, and then maybe this can be expanding outward, right? Now, does that really work? Kinda works. Doesn't really look that good. Okay, we're gonna try again. This looks like shit. But that's the best part, that it looks like shit. I expect it to look really bad a lot. But now this is the part where I'm going to just copy, right? I've struggled for 41 minutes and I haven't found any consistent design languages. So we're just going to copy and see what we can understand from just this one example right here, right? So let's see what this person did, you know? So already I'm seeing that they created a little hinge-like shape, right? And then they're connecting something else much larger to it. So this is their big, from what I'm understanding, right? This is their big shape. I should have given a lot more space to this, but it's okay because we just need to understand their thought processes. For them, this is a covering. This is a covering that has these sort of angles, right? This is a covering, you know? And then there are, again, there's like another hinge attached to this, right? So clearly, there's a lot of hinges going on, you know? And this is where I am probably not thinking the most effectively, because if I try to understand, and again, like this hinge has a cutout, right? Which is where this is led to. And it's a boxy hinge, right? It's elliptical and boxy at the same time. And then they just added some random stuff here, right, to be like, oh, it's connected, you know? And again, like coming out of this, there's another thing as well. People are gonna look at the thumbnail and they're gonna see this thing. They're like, wow, this guy's gotten so good. No. It's all bait. It's all bait. See, they're using this person for this particular design, because they also did this one, by the way. It's the same person who did this and this, right? It's, from my understanding, it's just like connection of shapes, and it's all hinge based. It's literally actually, holy shit, now that I look at it, it's all hinges. It's all hinges connect, every single one of their designs. Even this is hinge connect to hinge, basically, right? Because actually this one, it's like that. So, I mean, I do have the hinge mannequin, and that's great and all. But clearly I need to start thinking as things being connected hinge to hinge, right? So what I should probably be ideating on is just different shapes that can be hinges, which actually opens up the door quite a bit. If I look at these other designs, right, they actually all are all kind of hinge based as well. It's all connections. I guess shapes in of itself require that sort of thinking, right? Even this, like what they have here, is like, again, this is a very organic design, so kudos to them for being able to come up with something like this. And I genuinely think this is just something that takes years of, well, as with anything, but yeah, like this obviously takes years of practice, right, to be able to just, and I don't think they probably didn't just shit it out, by the way. I'm pretty sure this took a lot of thought, right? I'm trying to think while I draw this. I'm trying to understand how they approached it, of course. There's only so much you can pick up on just one casual draw through, but you know, do my best. Right, here's where they have their little cylindrical shape. Right, same thing on the other side, where it's like, right, like that. So that's pretty cool. Right, that's pretty fucking cool. You know, and obviously the proportions are different, whatever. But if it's all hinge, well, not all, but if there's a lot of designs that can be inspired from being hinge based, then could I try something like, right, that's one. Okay, there's a hinge right there. And we can just say that this, because how big do I want this shape? Right, and it's all like things connected to other things as well, so we could actually end it like this, right? Something like that. And then we could, if I really think about this, could do something like this, right? It is actually going over it, so should probably have thought about something different, but then we could do something like this, right? This comes outwards. Something like that. And it's a lot bigger, right? Let's just say this is actually much larger shape. I'm just trying to think. Because we want it to be large, but I wish I didn't fuck this up here, because then it would be in the way. But this is just me thinking, right? How could this work? And what other kind of shape could this be? There you go, something like that. This is the covering, right? I fucking love how difficult this is. I just want to put that out there. Right, it's extremely difficult because I'm trying to visualize this as well. And honestly, either way, it's going to be shit. And not to be mean, it's just a fact. It's just going to be shit. But this is where the learning happens, because I'm trying to think about all the different possibilities of how. Okay, let's just say this. Close it off. And then what's happening here? Let's just draw over it, right? Okay, so that's a covering, and then what? We have could have a little connection. But what could we have? Because we could do something like this, clearly. little patterns, right? We could do that. Does that make sense though? And again, we could just draw this thing behind it, right? That's connected. But what other ways? Because again, like they also have an overall silhouette, right? Silhouette. Everybody fucking talks about silhouette. So if I just, in the same way as reverse engineering with that little blob, right? If I just do something like this, you know, now I have to design kind of around that, right? So could it not be something like this? And then what are the other things? Cutouts, angles. If I look at the examples, right, it could very well right? Little mech-like shapes. What could this be? Oh fuck, that was way too goddamn. Clearly there could be something like this. That was way too thick. Like a fucking Seth Rogen laugh. Oh. Fucking make myself laugh, I'm God. Okay, and then what other things are occurring? Try to think about it in terms of design, and I need to really just keep looking at examples. I think is the biggest thing, right? Keep looking at examples and see how they come to their conclusions, right? Because there's a lot that can be done. Let's see. This is fun. Reverse engineering shapes into this is really fun. And again, it's all, if it's all, not all, but if there's like a lot of hinge like stuff that is part of it, why don't I just take advantage of that? Lost the perspective there. You know, let's see. Something like that. It's a hinge, right? And we could do this, get it nice and connected. Forgot to add that, but I'll just add it right now. Lost the perspective, bringing it back. There you go. So there's that, right? Okay. And now what else? What else can be done? Now we can start thinking about maybe adding little things inside of it, right? The shape design is extremely difficult. This is so fun. This is so fucking fun because it's all so ass, but the fact that I'm just forced to think so much about all these little things, right? And again, I keep looking at the examples provided or not provided, but that I've sort of found on Pinterest, right? And it's just reinforcing to me that I just need to keep fucking figuring out what works and what doesn't. But I think the things that I've established right now, which is like variation, big, medium, small, I need to obviously keep thinking about them, right? Because those help quite a fucking bit. It's also about white space, right? But this is probably my best one yet right now, because I'm really, really, really trying to figure it out, right? Okay, so there's that. What else did I say? I said cutouts, angles, thick to thin, big, medium, small. I think this is like our medium, or like our big, I guess. This is our small. But what's the medium? Is this the medium? Like this right here, right? That's the medium, you know? So clearly, we just got to keep thinking about the perspective, obviously, more than anything. But what else? Connection, covering, and stability. Well, we got our coverings, we got our connections. What's the stability part? Maybe this is attached to something, right? Oh, if I fucked up the perspective there, then the only way to get it back is kind of making the shape a bit unorthodox. I was a bit unconfident there on what I wanted. Maybe that's the stability. And maybe it doesn't make too much sense. But hey, that is a great, great step. I'm very, very, very happy with the effort I put into that, to be honest. Slowly but surely, I think, yeah, taking a step back on the hinge mannequin and really just focusing on trying to visualize the design is a great, or at the very least I'm trying, right? At the very least I'm trying. But let me rest my brain. We're gonna fucking do this for hours, everybody. And you're gonna join me. Let's fucking draw mechs together, right? At this point, nobody's watching. But in the future, the few hundred, the thousand, whatever, there'll at least be a few thousand people in 5-10 years from now who would have been curious enough to be like, how the fuck did he get so good at drawing mechs, right? This garbage that you see, this little writing this down and be like, oh god, I'm not trying hard enough. Oh, this is shit. This is shit. This is it. So if you are here, you're on the right fucking path. Which is you're struggling, you're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. How does this work? Like, we got some things that work right, 90% of it doesn't work at all, right? But, you know, I should be able to understand it. You might be thinking that. I'm not, because I have my references. I can just look at them. Well, good job, right? I copied the fucking references too. But what did I really get out of it? A little bit. And that little bit is how you drill a little bit, and then you do a little bit more, and then you drill that a little bit more. And then time will pass, right? Let's just say 10 hours, 15 hours, 30 hours, 500 hours, whatever, right? You all, everybody who watches my channel or listens, at this point, you should know it's all about the fucking volume. It's all about the hours, the intentional hours that you put in. But yeah, hours will pass and you'll be like, oh shit, what the fuck? I can draw mechs 10 times better than I could 4 months ago, right? But it's not about not being distracted, right? I'm only doing this for the next 6 to 8 months, right? Or at least until I'm just like, I can draw many different types of mechs based on the 2 to 3 hinges, pivots, and ball and joints that I've internalized, as well as the mech shapes that I understand much deeper, right? I can draw like many different types of mechs, and I can rotate them in space in my mind at any angle. Once I get to that point, that's my standard right now. I'm going to go back to the beginner roadmap and I'm going to finish it off, and then it'll be like the organic section, and then we'll do an organic workout, which is going to improve my ability to draw organic things. So it's all a feedback loop, right? But mech design, I think, is a great way to just hone in that design thinking, right? Because character designs are just organic mechs, right? You could say the other way, like mechs are just hard surface organic designs, but I think mechanical stuff is much harder to draw. So because it always involves generally really thinking about perspective and form and design and all that stuff. So That's just the way I see it, and we'll see 10 years from now how much that held true. But I from all the research I've done, and just from by research I mean just picking up on things have been people saying, my own interests, and what I can see of mech designers, and what Antonio from artwod said is like hard surface design is the best way to improve. I'm just gonna believe it. He's better than me. I'm gonna believe it. He's by far and large 10 times better than me, right? And like he draws how I want to draw, and he created this platform, so we're gonna put his word to the test, because I don't even think he's done what I'm doing in terms of the extent of which I'm gonna go to prove that his words actually work. So either I come out of it being like he was right, or we come out of it being like, oh, I'm just a lot better at drawing mechs, but I still need to work on my organic design. So either way, it's a win. But yeah, let me rest my brain. I know it's been an hour, but I'm gonna rest my brain. We're gonna do one more, and then we're gonna call it. What a fucking amazing session. Lots of effort put in. You know what's making me laugh is the fact that my words don't mean shit right now, right? Anybody watching is gonna be like, yeah, whatever. He's getting pretty good, but you know, like he's not it. He's not the guy, right? He's not the one. But when I am God, this will be revered as gospel. People will be like, right now it's like it's a rambling. This guy's talking too much. He's rambling. And then afterwards it'd be like, oh shit, I wish he kept saying stuff like this to remind me that I'm on the right path. So here I'm telling you, as the one who's on that path, to you in the future, right? Male or female, preferably female, because I do need to improve that audience retention. Plus, women do my more shit. So when I start selling stickers, this is, you know, you're gonna be my target audience. Right? I'll make like cute little bunnies, and you'll be like, oh my god, it's so cute, and you'll buy it like a dumbass, and I'll be like, great. The stereotype is true, but either way, the point I'm trying to make is my words will mean a lot more when there are things that prove that the words meant a lot more. Sounds pretty basic, but it is the truth. Right, I have an idea here, and I just want to see it to fruition, in the sense that, is it gonna work? Right? And this is what I love about perspective, is I can just keep drilling it and keep drilling it and keep just improving my ability to see. I think my dad's gonna come in and yell, be like, are you coming? We're going somewhere. So just a heads up to anybody listening or watching. Most likely there's gonna be a lot of, yeah, have fun. There's still like 2 hours left. What do you mean? I'm drawing. Appa, don't come in, I'm drawing, please. Father, I am drawing. Please don't yell, okay? I'm recording. Yeah, and I said 3:30. Yeah, she said it's okay. She said, I'll just sabi kodukkuren. See, he didn't even wait for my sentence to finish. God damn it, bastard. I love my father. But this is what happens, right? My family's like super, let's do this thing now. Basically, the context, for those of you wondering, we're going to go pick up keys, because I'm taking we have 2 cars. We have a Honda and what the fuck is it? Toyota Grand Highlander. Highlander. Right? So, the Highlander, obviously, my dad loves that car because he bought it. He wants to use it. Understandable. But I was like, can I take the car? And he's like, no, go fuck yourself. So now we're gonna go get the car from my sister, who she took the car. And yeah, that's it. That's the story, I guess. I'm so fucking distracted right now. Jesus Christ. But yeah, but they just want to go immediately. You know, they're like, let's go. I'm like, my guy, my best old friend, who is not my best old friend. We're not doing that shit right now. I have stuff to do. Okay, let's see. Big shapes, big shapes, right? So we can think like this, but not too big. So we can do this, right? We can do something like this. And again, cutouts, and more cutouts, right? Something like that. And we can create it on the opposite side too, because why not, right? Symmetry does help. And here we can have another, maybe a cylinder, right, connecting it. But I'm still figuring out what the shape is going to look like. I just have a general idea, and I'm trying to visualize it to the best of my ability. See, I fucked that up over there. But this is what happens when people come in, and it's just, I'm so much quieter than my family in general. So like they're so loud, and it really throws me for a loop. Like I'm distracted right now because my dad comes, he's like, ah, what? Huh? And I'm just like, ah. So yeah, day in a life. It's a good thing I live in the basement. Okay, so these shapes aren't really that pleasing yet, but they could be if I do something like this maybe. And I'm just trying to think. We got hinges, we got maybe something like, okay, what's coming out of this? Maybe a cable is coming out of this, right? Something like that. And something like that, right? And we could just keep going with this design rhetoric. I used to say rhetoric for the longest time until I realized it was wrong just about like 5 months ago, 6 months ago, and I was like, oh shit, I'm retarded. I don't know how to say words. But now we're back. We're still retarded, but now we know how to say words, right? Again, let me look at this guy's example. I really like how this guy does shit. This designer I'm looking at. So again, here's a covering, right? Which doesn't really have to be anything special. It can just be this. And it doesn't have to look amazing either. We're just trying to get ideas out. It's never going to look amazing, by the way. I just want to make it very clear. Your standards will always improve. And then you'll finish, and yeah, like I don't think I've ever been at a point. This is a bit more organic, which is nice. It's unique, right? But I don't think I've ever been at a point where I've thought, yes, I have done it. I am art. I don't think I've ever, like I've definitely had drawings. Like when I went camping this past weekend, I guess for those of you who know, right? I went camping this past weekend with my friends, and it was really nice. Fall camping is very different. Never done it before. But it I guess these are my two big shapes. But I drew the fire pit, right? And I've never done that before, and it was super cool. It was super fucking sick, right? In the sense that like I really liked how I drew it. Oh, and this is what I wanted to talk about. I just remembered because I wanted to talk about something, but I completely forgot beforehand. But what I want to say is like I've started to reframe drawing, especially from life, or just imagining things instead of thinking how do I draw that, you reframe it as how would I draw that. You see how in the first one you emphasize how do I do something, specifically the drawing, like how do I do that, like you're questioning like how the fuck do I do that versus how would I, right? So emphasizing would I, like how would I, and then just draw that like casually, which is, it sounds stupid maybe, right? But I feel as if that, just reframing that and be like, oh shit, that's actually, for me, I was just like, oh, it changes the entire thing from being like we are giving power to the thing that we're drawing to we are giving power to our process. So it goes from how do I draw that thing to how would I interpret that thing, right? How would I fucking interpret this thing that I'm seeing into line or form or shapes, right? How would I do that? So suddenly you're giving yourself the agency, and you're giving yourself the the power essentially to be like, oh, okay, this is how I would do it because it's my art, right? Oh, that was way too fucking thick, Jesus Christ. This looks okay. I'm just trying to figure out again, like these little tiny things that these guys add, right? So these are all coverings, we can say, right? But I do think I'm starting to understand it a little bit more, but I feel like shapes like these, like this big one, kind of looks stupid, right? It needs to be a bit more connected, right? It definitely needs to be a bit more connected. And this pen, I'm still trying to figure out why the fuck sometimes it's thick and sometimes it's thin. My own goddamn ability to draw lines is apparently too good. I'm just the best. But yeah, that's. I honestly wish I spoke about this in the beginning of the video because nobody listens to the end. Nobody listens to any of it, but especially the end, nobody listens to, right? So, but hey, if you are listening, I hope that helped you. That reframing, it's not how do I draw that, it's how would I draw that, right? So how would I interpret that? Not how the fuck you draw this thing and you're just in the frame of that thing in the sense that like, how do I draw that pen? What is it? Versus, okay, wait, how would I draw that pen, right? It's the exact same thing. You're thinking about the exact same thing, which is how do you draw that thing? But rather than thinking that thing I'm trying to draw is like, holy shit, like what is it, like how does it work, blah blah. Being curious it's the same process. You're curious and you're trying to figure something out, but you're giving yourself the power and the creative liberty to interpret it the way you want. Like same with this, like how would I create unique shapes, right? And that's something I'm working on right now. It's like not how do I create unique shapes, like okay, what is my process, right? How would I create unique shapes? Well, I know that if I have diagonals, right, and then it juts out a little bit, right, that kind of looks interesting. And then if I don't know, like maybe it cuts in like that, right? And then what if this is actually a rounded shape, right? I was like, okay, that kind of looks interesting. What can I attach here? Well, I'm learning that hinges are important, so maybe some sort of hinge, right? Okay, interesting. It's just being curious, giving yourself the liberty to fail. It's like, okay, like what connects here, right? Well, I know kind of big, medium, small. If we say this is big and this is small, then something medium that could work pretty well maybe is something like that, right? And it's just connected like so. And it's like, okay, cool. Now we have a sort of framework for giving ourselves the ability to create something interesting, right? Even though I fucked that up. But it's like, okay, wow, nice. Now we know that we can kind of just have a process for creating something, right? Even if that process is whatever, it's meh, shit, whatever. But that already looks kind of hard surfacey, right? So I'm still working on that, but at the same time, I think that's a great frame, right? Like I think this looks okay. I clearly lost it a little bit at the end, but what I love is I'm putting a lot of effort into trying to understand. I'll try to slow down my speech. I'm putting a lot of effort to try and understand what makes unique shapes, right? And I don't think it hurts to go back next session and just like a couple times try to draw unique shapes around the mannequin and then go back and primarily focus on just creating nice mech shapes. But yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Just got to keep trying to understand. That's the biggest thing, is keep trying to understand what makes unique shapes, right? I feel as if this thing I have here, connection, covering, stability, and then cutouts, additions, angles, curves, thick to thin, big, medium, small, right? This is the primary thing, this is the surrounding thing. That's a lot to think about, man. Like, that's a lot to fucking think about. Never, ever feel as if, and I guess this is my fucking reassurance to you, is never feel as if, that you're not doing enough, especially if you're trying your best to think about all these things. This is me coping to myself, right? And I'm masquerading it as advice to the audience. Hashtag Viggy Famming 24/7, right? That's also one of the definitions, let it be known, right? Is you're just lying, but it's to yourself at least. But definitely, I feel as if I'm learning in terms of just how things connect. This one I feel was a poor application. This one was a bit better, but this one, it was okay, right? Again, this is the errors that we make, and I'm glad. I'm very, very happy I made these errors, because it's like it's just when you make a mistake, you're not failing. You're figuring things out, right? When in the beginning, when you're making a line like it's all spotty and shit, versus you do one, let's say fucking 60 hours later, it's like that, right? You needed this to happen. This needs to happen for this to occur, right? And if somebody starts like this, great, they have an affinity. That's your little talent or whatever. But you'll find very few people who can create a line like this with a brush pen like this on their first attempt. And if they do, good for them, right? You're not them, right? The comparison trap needs to end. Your journey is your journey. And the point of the matter is, no matter what, every single human being on the planet, granted they have, they're relatively able-bodied, they can use at least one of their hands to learn this motor skill. And there are people out there who draw with their feet. So even that's not a fucking excuse. We'll be able to achieve this line, right? And more. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I always end up going into talent and shitting on the whole talent thing, because obviously I feel very strongly about it. But the point is, anybody can become excellent. As per the channel, watch me become great, right? Many people will look at this and be like, what, he's just drawing shit again. But the select few know that, oh, amazing, he's learning. And this is the learning process. And those of you who have that mindset and you think long term, without a doubt you will succeed. This is also Viggy famming. Again, I'm coping and being like, yeah, you're doing the right thing, right? So there you go. We're all doing the right thing. But amazing session. I'm slowly, I think I have like a 1% improvement in understanding of what these shapes are like. So that's an improvement. Again, you got to look at the micro, right? The macro is, oh, he drew shit shapes again. But the micro is he attempted to understand and break down how shapes can be good and try to apply it as much as possible. And he learned that 99% of them did not work, but 1% of them did. Like, that kind of looks interesting. This kind of looks interesting. This kind of looks interesting. This is maybe something, right? Decent idea there in terms of connections, right? This is like, oh, it's organic. Interesting. There was an idea to do something with this, but it did not work because he could not see far enough. So as always, got to keep visualizing, got to keep trying to see the thing that I'm doing, right? And we could actually even cover this off, right? And there you go. It's like flat from the bottom, which now kind of looks worse. Who knows? And I didn't even like try to make the lines good. So again, right? Like it's all about effort. And I think I put a decent amount, maybe not the most, but definitely a decent amount. So yeah, with that being said, right? I hope you enjoyed your practice. I hope you really, really tried. And as always, fuck you for watching. Keep drawing, and please give me money.